Welcome back to EPL Reactions Box. Manchester City have done it again. Manchester City have made a serious statement at Selhurst Park, defeating Crystal Palace 4-1 in Friday night's Premier League clash. The result gives Enzo Maresca's City a second consecutive league victory. After that narrow 2-1 victory over Bournemouth last weekend, City travelled to Selhurst Park to face Crystal Palace, and this time they didn't leave it late. Manchester City won 4-1. Erling Haaland scored twice, Ryan Cherki produced a brilliant 2-goal performance, and City eventually overwhelmed Palace. But Palace did have a moment when they pulled a goal back. So let's break this match down using our 4 EPL Reactions Box categories: goals and goal scorers, best player, worst player, and referee performance. Manchester City opened the scoring in the 16th minute. Erling Haaland rose highest to meet a brilliant cross from Antoine Semenyo, producing a superb header that went beyond Dean Henderson. And that was Haaland's first Premier League goal of the season, and he continued his remarkable scoring record at Selhurst Park. City then doubled their advantage shortly after half-time. In the 54th minute, Ryan Cherki produced one of the goals of the match. Phil Foden won possession and fed Cherki, who somehow worked his way around several Palace defenders before poking the ball past Henderson to make it 2-0. But Palace weren't finished. 3 minutes later, Yeremy Pino's free kick struck the crossbar, bounced onto the back of goalkeeper Gianluigi Donnarumma, and went into the net. It was officially recorded as a Donnarumma own goal, giving Palace a goal. Suddenly, Selhurst Park came alive, but City responded almost immediately. Just 2 minutes later, Cherki struck again. His effort from the edge of the box took a deflection off Chris Richards and flew beyond Henderson. And that was 3-1. And finally, in the 85th minute, Haaland completed his brace. Phil Foden produced an excellent pass into Haaland, who finished from a tight angle with a powerful strike into the roof of the net. Final score: Crystal Palace 1, Manchester City 4. Best player: Ryan Cherki. For me, the man of the match is Ryan Cherki. Yes, Haaland scored twice, but Cherki was absolutely electric. 2 goals, and the second one was particularly impressive. His ability to receive the ball, manipulate defenders, and create something from nothing was outstanding. The first goal showed his technique. The second showed his individual brilliance. And this is exactly why Manchester City invested heavily in him. Cherki is beginning to look like a serious problem for Premier League defenders. Haaland deserves huge credit too. 2 goals away from home. And once again he showed that if you give him even half a chance inside the box, he can punish you. Worst player: Crystal Palace's defensive unit. I'm going with Crystal Palace's defensive unit, rather than blaming one individual. The biggest problem was their inability to deal with City's movement between the lines. Cherki repeatedly found pockets of space. Haaland was able to attack crosses far too easily. And once City scored their second, Palace's defensive structure began to collapse. The third goal was particularly disappointing. Palace had just scored and gained momentum. Within 2 minutes, City had restored their 2-goal advantage. That completely killed Palace's comeback. Palace simply couldn't defend City's attacking quality. Dean Henderson also had a difficult evening, conceding 4 goals, although several of them were extremely difficult for him to stop. Tactical reaction: this is where I think Maresca deserves serious credit. Manchester City looked much more aggressive in possession compared with their opening day victory over Bournemouth. They were moving the ball quickly, and importantly, they were creating opportunities for Cherki, Foden, Semenyo and Haaland to attack Palace's defensive line. Semenyo was particularly important in the opening goal, while Cherki's movement caused constant problems. And then you have Haaland. Once City began finding him consistently, Palace were in trouble. The biggest concern for City? They still aren't perfect defensively. Donnarumma's own goal was bizarre, and Palace had opportunities to make the game uncomfortable. But unlike last weekend, City never looked genuinely close to losing control. They responded immediately after conceding. That's a very positive sign. Referee performance. The referee was Andy Madley. My rating, 8 out of 10. I thought Madley had a fairly good game. The match was physical, particularly in midfield, but he generally allowed the players to compete without allowing things to get completely out of control. There were some debatable decisions, as there almost always are in a Premier League match. But the referee wasn't the story tonight. That's important. The football, particularly City's attacking performance, dominated the conversation. For me, a controlled and professional refereeing performance. Final reaction. So what do we take from this match? Manchester City, 9 out of 10. This was a better performance compared to last week. 4 goals away from home. 2 goals from Haaland. 2 from Cherki. And most importantly, City responded immediately when Palace threatened a comeback. Crystal Palace, 4 out of 10. They had a few moments, but ultimately they were overwhelmed. The absence of key attacking players made their job even more difficult. And their defense simply couldn't handle City's movement and individual quality. And that's another episode of EPL Reactions Box. Manchester City have sent a message tonight. 4-1 away from home. Haaland with 2, Cherki with 2, and City now have 6 points from their opening 2 Premier League matches. But the question is, are Manchester City back as genuine title contenders? And can Ryan Cherki become one of the breakout stars of this Premier League season? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more EPL Reactions Box. Every goal, every moment.